The year is 2010. I've just turned 16, and a series that I learned to love oh so much has just dropped a second game. Here you go, they said. A series that I beloved, not from the first moment I played it, but with time. And I was so very excited to get involved in the second one. I am now, as I was then, just as horribly disappointed. Let's talk about Bioshock 2 and what they did right, but what wasn't. So, for me, I want to start this by saying this is not going to be a crapping on Bioshock 2 festival. I have some choice words for some of the decisions. I know the main art director and director of stuff, Ken Levine, was not on this game, so it is a little different. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think taking a slightly different turn in the turn of events was not great for the hardcore love this game players, but it let us explore something different. And that's what I want to start in talking about, is the differences. Now, Bioshock 1, we don't precisely know what year it takes place, but this one opens up in 1958, which would have been the death of Frank Fontaine from the last game, where Eleanor is very young and Sophia Lamb, her mother, is in charge of the part of the Big Daddy program that she's enrolled in, where you are the subject alpha, Big Daddy. So I'm going to stop for a moment right in there. For anyone that likes to say that you are the same Big Daddy from Bioshock 1, it's not possible. It is not possible. This is happening closer to the events of, like, post Johnny Topside and the Frank Fontaine becoming Atlas and Atlas running over Ryan thing. Rapture was still this is going to be real big, heavy air quotes, functioning city at this point. This is pre-collapse. This is pre the saving of the Little Sisters kind of stuff. So those are non-connected events. They just happen to be that way. They took a lot of inspiration from the end of Bioshock 1 and said, let's make a whole game on that. It is also non-in continuity with how the whole Big Daddy system works. The Big Daddies were not allowed plasmids in the first game, to my remembrance. But that's what the whole part of the second game focuses on, is you are an Alpha Series Big Daddy who can use plasmids and your standardized weapons. Now, the fact that they did not deviate from the weapons the Big Daddies get to carry, we all like that. We got the power trip fantasy of actually being a Big Daddy, which is, it's not just kind of cool, actually, it's super cool. Like, you get to live out the actual fantasy of having a drill arm and needing fuel for it. You get to live out being able to just go outside of Rapture when you need to and go back in Rapture when you need to. The splicer issue, whatever. The inclusion of the big sister, being Eleanor at the time, and the other mysterious big sisters, doesn't totally fit narrative, because the Big Daddy was the only older sibling for the program. So that was definitely a choice that was made narratively. Outside of that, I think that's about where my praise for design changes kind of goes south. I will state that for what it is worth, it was not for me. I still like to play the game, even though it is not for me, because it is an integral part of the system of how the series ran. Everyone thought one was absolutely beautiful, perfect. The fact that they reused one, but not the same map for two, we could see that being the right choice. We can like that because it's Rapture. It's the location we grew to love back in 2007, 2008, and they brought it back. We got to have that all over again. That was the joy, that was the magic. The power trip of being a Big Daddy, good idea on paper and not terrible roundabout. But I don't know. Something about 2 always struck me as odd that I did not like it. Um Quite like I said with the Ezio trilogy, when everyone said that, Brotherhood is by far the best Assassin's Creed game ever made, I have to disagree because looking back at it, I think it is a product of its time. Now, the fact that you can have your weapon and your plasmid up at the same time, that was an improvement. I'm sure we can all agree having to use the mouse to switch plasmid versus weapon, and then remembering to actually click the correct button to use said plasmid weapon instead of 6 times. That was a quality of life improvement that we can get behind. The whole multiplayer thing was definitely cool for its time, but I don't think the multiplayer is even a thing anymore. So that is a lost art. But like I said, quite like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, I think it is a product of its time. It will live in this time capsule little bubble when it was cool. And people are going to leech the nostalgia out of that and lean on that real hard. The story of 2 is forgettable. It didn't have that same enigma and mystery that 1 had. Like in 1, Fontaine fleeces you the entire freaking game just to get control of Rapture. And that in its own is questionable because why does he want Rapture? It's a city underwater where he can control a market, sure, but there's not really anyone left on that market to control that's not spliced to hell and back again. And yes, I know he can sell plasmids to the upper world, but okay. This one plays out more like Sophia Lamb just wants to find answers, but she can't leave till she finds those answers for her own personal gain, for Eleanor's sake, I guess. And aside from that, it's forgettable. The entire game is you going to Sophia Lamb and then you being like, huh, okay. There's not much to remember about that storyline. That part alone was very, very forgettable, very boring. The gameplay, not horribly boring. It's kind of funny to be a Big Daddy. You get to live out that power trip from playing 1. Like, the fact that there is like 2-3 years time between those games, not in game time but in IRL time. If you played Bioshock 1 as a kid, you get to play 2 as, a late teenager, and it's like, huh, man, that's cool. But now that we have things like Infinite, the magic just isn't there for 2. 2 is one of those moments where they lost touch with some of the magic, but they managed to keep the series floating. I have nothing more that's positive to say. I'm trying to be as absolutely positive as possible. It will forever go down in infamy as that game that I see in the series and go, crap, it's time for this one. Because I hate skipping. If I like a series, I gotta play them all. But that's just that. Hopefully I will have time to record Infinite soon. That game is much longer, so we'll see how time looks on that. But until that time comes, folks, I will see you on the next one.